Hello, welcome to One Africa Mission with your brother Dubia Anzanse. Please, if you are joining us for the first time, please take time out of your busy schedules and subscribe to our YouTube channel, One Africa Mission. We are missionaries. We are on a mission, and our mission is to see a united Africa. Our mission is to bring an end to the suffering of the African people by uniting Africa. That is our mission. So please join our mission, subscribe to our YouTube channel, One Africa Mission, follow us on Facebook, One Africa Mission, and let us all together fight for a united Africa. And then, as we always talking about uniting Africa and the reason why we want to see a united Africa, please let us go and watch these two particular videos. It's two videos, so that we'll come back and then you tell me reason why we shouldn't unite as African people. Yeah, reason why we shouldn't unite as African people. It's an old video, it's a long video, but we're gonna make it really short. We just want you to see a grip of what we are going to talk about. So please, let's watch the two clips, and then let us come back and then analyze it, please.
For an African to visit a European nation, an ordinary African, to visit a European nation is like, let me give you an example my teacher used to use. It's like trying to milk an elephant because of the visa process. However, for a European to visit an African nation, most of our nations, it is like a walk on the beach. It's like going to have a cup of tea. But then that is not the problem. The tragedy is that now for an African to visit a fellow African within the African Union, the visa restrictions in many of our nations, among us, between our brothers and sisters, is like trying to brush the teeth of a crocodile.
Yeah, so as you can see, that was the first video. The man, I'm told, is a minister talking about how it is difficult for African to travel within the African continent, an African citizen to travel within the African continent, but a European traveling within Africa is like walking on the beach. Like you just wake up, all that you need is your passport, and then as long as you are able to afford flight ticket, then you are off. No stress, no anything. You are free to travel within Africa as a European. Even if you are coming from a poor European country like those in Eastern Europe, you are free to travel within Africa. But an African cannot travel freely within his own continent. And please, let us watch the second video. It's so annoying. The reason why I'm doing video, because I have made a call on Friday to the Namibian embassy, and that is the reason why I'm doing this video. Please, let's watch the second video, and then we come back and I tell you my experience.
To another African country. I'm from Ghana. When I'm going to South Africa, I have to go in the queue in a South African embassy to get just a common visa to visit my own continent. And then somebody that comes from America or from Europe is visa free. Come on. I mean, look, fine. People can accept that and they can embrace that. But for me, it tells me that, you know what? You're far lost and gone.
So as you can see the second video, the brother is also complaining as a Ghanaian, if he want to travel to South Africa, he will require a visa. He has to go and queue for a visa, and there will be restrictions. There will be reasons why South Africa will not allow him to come to South Africa. But a mad British person, a mad person from Britain, as long as he's able to afford ticket, he can visit South Africa without any stress. Without any stress, a mad British person can visit South Africa. But a business guy from Ghana, from Namibia, from Ethiopia, from Cameroon, from Senegal, who is doing business, successful business person, to go to South Africa need a visa. But a mad person who is jobless, a jobless person in America, a jobless person in Britain, as long as he's able to afford ticket, then he's free to go to South Africa. Blame the white man for that. African leaders, blame the white man for that. You see, and the reason why I am doing this and I'm so angry, I am so angry, is because we are planning to visit some African countries, one African mission. We are planning to go to, our first trip is Namibia. And I had to call the Namibian embassy in London to find out, because there is a brother in Ghana who is our cameraman who will join us when we are in Namibia. So I phoned the Namibian embassy on Friday to find out the brother in Ghana, for him to join us. What are the procedures? I just phoned them to find out. I just phoned them, the Namibian embassy, on Friday, and I told the lady that we are planning to visit Namibia. One of us is in Ghana. What are the process? And the lady told me that if you are holding a British passport, you don't need a visa. But that one in Ghana, he need a visa to go to Namibia. African youth, just look at this. So I asked the lady, I asked her, what is it that Britain has done? What good has Britain done to Namibia that the British citizen has a British passport holder is free to go to Namibia without any visa, but a Ghanaian to visit Namibia had to go through visa process and all that before he could go there? What is it that Britain has done to Namibia that Ghana hasn't done it to Namibia, that you require a visa as a Ghanaian, but as a British you don't need a visa? She said to me, that is how it is. That was what she said. And then she said to me, even if a Namibian had to visit Ghana, he required a visa. And I said, I am not talking about that, and that is none of my business. My business is that I don't understand why, as an African has to go through stress to get a visa to another African country, but a British, an American, doesn't have to go any stress, doesn't have to do anything. The only thing he needs is his passport and then his ticket. So you can be a successful person in Africa. It is still difficult for you to visit another African country, but a junkie, a homeless person, a jobless person in Europe can just take his passport. As long as he's able to beg and get a visa, he will come to Africa and be treated like a king. And I am not blaming our leaders. I am blaming we, the youth of Africa. I am blaming the citizens of Africa. We have been denied this right, our God-given right, for so long. But the reality is that we are not doing anything about it. What is happening to the citizens of Africa, the discrimination, the disrespect that the citizens of Africa are going through within the continent of Africa, European citizens will not take it from their leaders. So the reason why our leaders are doing that to us is because we are so timid and we are taking that. I am telling you, European citizens will not take that from their leaders. If there will be an uprising all over Europe if European citizens have to go through stress before they could visit another European country. But for we as African citizens, we sit back, all that we do is complain and then put blame on our leaders. No, I refuse that. I refuse to blame our leaders, because we are the reason why they are treating us like that. Because the leaders wake up and then all that he do is he travel all over the world. The European leaders, British leaders, German leaders, American leaders, Australian leaders, they wake up, they travel all over the world. But they have been able to make sure that their citizens enjoy the same privilege that they are enjoying. But we as citizens of Africa, we've been denied that privilege, and yet we are so quiet. And the reason why European leaders make sure that their citizens are enjoying that privileges is because they know that the European citizens will not take any nonsense from their leaders if the leaders deny them the right to travel within Europe. So why is it that we, the citizens of Africa, we allow our leaders to deny us the right to travel around Africa? I am so pissed, because why should an African require a visa to visit another African country? And yet the lady told me point blank that as if you are holding a British passport, you don't need a visa to come to Namibia. But if you are, so tell the brother in Ghana that he will require a visa to come to Namibia. She told me that. And I was like, my sister, what is going on? How come? What is it that Britain has done to you? What good has Britain done to you that her citizens have to visit your country freely? But Ghana has not done the same thing to you, that Ghanaians have to go through a lot of stress to be able to come to Namibia. So you see the reason why we Africans, we don't appreciate what we have. You see the reason why we are not able to to value what nature has given to us as African people is because this was designed by the colonialists to separate Africans. Until today, we are still holding on to this and then blaming the white man. Stop blaming the white man for that. Do not blame the white man for the things that you are doing to yourselves as African people. I refuse to blame the white man for that because I know the white man, after doing that to us, has opened up her borders for her citizens. But we, the African citizens, we the African people, we are still doing this to ourselves and yet blaming the white man. And as I said, I do not blame the African leaders. I blame we, the citizens of Africa, because if we stand up and demand that Africa should open herself to her citizens, just like the Europeans will do, Africa we will have the opportunity to travel around Africa. I am telling you what we allow our leaders to be doing to us. If European leaders try to do the same thing to European citizens, there will be an uprising all over Europe. The European citizens are not timid. We should stop blaming Europeans for everything that we are doing to ourselves. We are the cause of our own problem. We are our own enemies. European citizens will not take that. As we are now, we are in the summer in Europe. Every child, every European citizen is traveling all over Europe and even, as a matter of fact, all over the world, because they have created that privileges for themselves and for their citizens. But yet we Africans are holding on to something that was given to us in Berlin in the 18th century. Yet we want to blame the Europeans for that. Stop blaming the Europeans and give me my African passport. I demand for that. That is what we are expecting for the children of Africa. That is what we want African citizens, every African citizen, to stand up and say, we want our African passport. We want a free movement of the African children. Africa is for us, just like Europe is for the Europeans. So stop giving us English. Stop talking big grammar and give us what we deserve as children of Africa. We are sick and tired of being treated like we are nobody. I thank you very much for coming around. I am so pissed. And I want every African to get angry over this. And we must demand an end to the restrictions of African people exploring their continent. Africa belongs to the children of Africa. Just like every continent is belong to the children of their continent. Everybody has access to Africa, except the citizens of the African continent. Why are we doing that to ourselves? Who has done that to us? Every citizen of Africa in the world have access to Africa. We are the only people as citizens of Africa who doesn't have access to our continent, to our beloved continent. And yet we want to blame the Europeans for what they did to us in the 18th century. Stop blaming the Europeans and give me my African passport, African Union. We have been seeing the African passport, and yet we are not getting it. Why? Because some people don't want Africans to have free access to the African continent. Why? And as I said, I refuse to blame the leaders. I refuse that. I blame we, the children of Africa. We are not angry enough. When are we going to say enough is enough? European citizens are not timid. I'm telling you, Europeans will not take any nonsense, especially when it comes to them having access, free movement of their people. When Britain went out of European Union, Brexit, the British people, the British leaders make sure that they don't compromise when it comes to British citizens moving around Europe, because they know the British citizens will not take it. They go to holidays at least 2 times in a year, and they will not compromise on that. The citizens will not take it. Any nonsense. So if the leaders try to do anything stupid, not to allow them access to the other part of the part of Europe, there will be uprising. But we Africans so timid. We are so divided. All that we do is sit down, complain, make big speeches, talk big grammar. Speaking grammar is not the solution of the African problem, because after all, English grammar got nothing to do with Africa. Africa for the people of Africa, Marcus Garvey said. Africa for the Africans. So stop blaming the white man and give me my African passport. That's what I need. I thank you very much for coming around. Please join the mission. Join the One Africa mission. We are on a mission to bring an end to all this stupidity going on in Africa. I don't require it. I refuse to take any visa to visit another country. Please join our mission. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, One Africa Mission. Also follow us on Facebook, One Africa Mission. Join the mission, please. Please join the mission. Subscribe. Let us put pressure. Let us stand up as children of Africa. Just as Europeans would have done. Just as Chinese would have done. Just like everybody else would have done. To demand their dignity. It is freedom, liberty, or death. Freedom for all of us, or freedom for nobody. Free movement for all African citizens, or no movement for nobody in Africa. That's what we are calling on. That's what we are saying. We want everybody to move freely within the continent of Africa, as long as you are a citizen of Africa. Or nobody is moving no freely. Because the people denying us this free movement of Africa, I'm talking about the leadership. They have the freedom to move around Africa. Them and their families, them and their colleagues, their friends. Why are they denying us that? How come the Europeans are not denying their citizens that? African youth, it's about time you get provoked by all these restrictions and stand up for your own good and for the betterment of the next generation. We are not doing this for ourselves, but the children yet unborn, because they are waiting for us to fix up Africa so that they will come back. I thank you very much for coming around. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel and also follow us on Facebook. Until we meet again, I thank you very much for coming around. Thanks very much.